Good morning. Today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form. This is going to be super helpful in everything else you're going to do in Algebra 1, so we got to make sure we get this right. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So if you're looking at a line, okay, on a graph, you can tell immediately what the y-intercept is, because it's where the line crosses the y-axis. So right here you can see this line, this blue line that I drew, it crosses the y-axis at 2. So right here it says b equals 2, and it's showing us what the y-intercept is. To count slope, you're going to go from one point on the line to another point on the line, and you're just counting rise over run. So I go up 2, so my rise is 2, and then I'm running 1, 2, 3, so my run is 3. So I'm going up 2 and right 3, so my slope is 2/3. So if I was looking at this line, I would be able to write down the equation of the line, y equals 2 over 3, 2/3, times x plus 2, because m, the 2/3, is the slope, and the y-intercept, which is the b, is 2. So y equals 2/3 x plus 2. Alright, here's the other thing you're going to have to do on your homework. It says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay, so it tells us the slope is negative 2/3 and the point, -6, -5, is on the line. So if you have the slope and you have a point that's on the line, we can use slope-intercept form to help us find the y-intercept. So you're going to write down y equals mx plus b. Okay, and every point has an x and a y. So here's my x, here's my y. So I'm going to fill these in. So the y value is -5. The m, the slope, is negative 2/3. The x is -6. So I'm going to write -6 over 1, just because it's easier to deal with it if they're both fractions right there. And then you've got your b. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the y-intercept of the line, because you already have the slope, so you need the y-intercept to be able to write the equation. Alright, so however you want to do this, you've got to do -2/3 times -6. You can multiply across and then reduce. You can reduce from the beginning, whatever is easiest for you. So we'll just say -2 times -6 is positive 12, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I have -5 equals 4 plus b. Okay, so now if I have a positive 4 and a positive b, I want to subtract the 4 to get that -4 to the other side, because I want this b, this variable, by itself. Alright, so -5 and -4 make -9. So I get b equals -9. Now, once I have the slope, which was -2/3, and once I have the b, the y-intercept, which is -9, I can write the equation of the line. So I'm going to write y equals -2/3 times x, and then the y-intercept is -9, so I'm going to write -9. And that would be my equation. Alright? Next thing I want to do is, it's going to give me the same directions, write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, but this time it gives me 2 points. So if it gives me 2 points instead of giving me a slope, the first thing I'm going to do is find the slope. Once I find the slope, then I'm going to do the exact same thing I did right there. So if I've got to find the slope first, I'm going to say m for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my y value for the second point is -2, minus my y value for the first point is 10. Then I'm going to say -3 minus -6. Okay, so on the top I have a -2 and a -10. That's going to make -12. On the bottom I have minus a negative. I've got a -3 and then minus a negative. So that minus a negative becomes plus. So I have a -3 and a positive 6. A -3 and a positive 6 is going to make 3. So now -12 divided by 3 is negative 4. So my slope is negative 4. Now, all I have to do is pick one of these 2 points. You just pick whichever one you think is easier to deal with. It might be the one with the smaller numbers. It might be if one of them doesn't have negatives, you would pick that. But really and truly, you can pick either point. They'll both work. It's just going to be a matter of picking one that's easiest for you to deal with. So I'm going to pick the one with the smaller numbers, the negative 3 and the negative 2. So I'm going to write down y equals mx plus b. My y value is negative 2. My m is negative 4. My x over here is negative 3. And then I'm trying to find out what my y-intercept is so I can write this equation. Alright, so I have negative 2 here. So I'm going to write that down. A negative 4 times a negative 3 is going to make positive 12. Okay, and then I've got plus b right there. So, once again, I have a positive 12 and a positive b. I want the b by itself, which means the 12 has got to go to the other side, so I'm going to subtract the 12. Negative 2 and negative 12 make negative 14. So my b is negative 14. So when it comes time to write this equation, I'm going to write y equals negative 4x and then minus 14. And that would be my equation. Alright, and then last but not least, if you have to graph something, if it's already in slope-intercept form, then it's going to be super easy. If it's not in slope-intercept form, then you've got to solve it for y and you've got to put it in slope-intercept form. Okay? So, if I have y equals negative x plus 2, okay? Well, remember, if this is y equals mx plus b, then this last number, this 2 out here that's by itself, that is my y-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and plot the y-intercept first. Okay, now, the number in front of the x, okay, because the m is in front of the x, that's going to be my slope. Well, if it's just negative x, then that's the same thing as a negative 1x, because a 1 is the coefficient in front of that x. Okay, so negative 1x means if I go up 1, I've got to go left 1. Because up is positive, left is negative, so I've got to make sure I incorporate that negative. If I go down 1, that's negative, which means I've got to go right 1. Okay, either way I go, I've got to go one positive direction and one negative direction. Okay, once I have 3, 4, 5 points on a line, or if I have a ruler, then I can connect the points and I have my line. So that's everything you need to know about slope-intercept form. We've got basic slope-intercept form, what it is. We've got how to find an equation in slope-intercept form if you have a slope and a point. We've got how to find an equation in slope-intercept form if you just have 2 points and you got to find the slope first. And we've got how to graph it if you have an equation or a line that's already in slope-intercept form. So that's all for today. We'll see you again tomorrow.